Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, and on the line is Wootini with another Gay Gamer video podcast. This week, I went to see Toy Story 5, which is better than Toy Story 4, which I rewatched recently. 4 didn't really have a reason to exist, it just was there to make money, because Pixar hasn't been as successful with other things, because everybody just wants sequels. So 5 at least has a reason to exist. It has an actual plot that is more interesting. It's still kind of a chaotic mess, like 4. There's a little too much going on. But, you know, the whole play versus tech, do you play with toys or you just stare at a screen? It's very timely. It's a nice message. There's some great visual gags of kids being completely absorbed in screens and missing everything going on around them. So that's nice. That at least that had like a message, a little something to say. And then it's also nice to see Jessie getting a chance to be the lead character for a change. Because there's so many characters now. And like obviously Buzz and Woody do factor in. There's a whole subplot with Buzz's that is ridiculous, but some occasionally amusing. But it's also part of the whole there's a lot going on thing. But there's these characters from the first movie that get like 2 lines of dialogue now. It's like, whatever. Forky was the star of the last one. He's barely in this one, you know. Like, you know. There's just too many characters to give them all something to do. If they did, the movie would be 2.5 hours long, and there'd be way too much going on, as opposed to just too much going on. But it was fun. It was very cute. I saw it in 3D, which, you know, was fine. There was some decent 3D moments, but, you know, they weren't, But I don't have to pay extra with AMC A-List, so I figure why not. And I hope that this is a good sign. The fact that this was a little bit better than 4, I hope that's a good sign for when they make 6, because you know they're going to make 6, because you know this is going to make a buttload of money. And there was a trailer for Pixar's next movie called Gato, which looks delightful, but will probably not make money, so we will get a Toy Story 6 so that Disney can, you know, rake it in, because they're not rich enough. As for games, speaking of Disney, there was a Disney Dreamlight Valley showcase that announced that they were doing a new character. 3 new characters, in fact. There's new DLC coming, and it is Winnie the Pooh. And I was like, mother effer. Because I don't want to buy the DLC. Because I bought the first DLC when it was on sale, and I still haven't finished it, because the main game gives you more than enough to do, and the DLC is just unnecessary. And I don't have time to play all of that. So, but, thankfully, they're not considering this full DLC. They're calling it an adventure pack, which is apparently like a smaller DLC that isn't like a whole big boodle. It's just 3 characters, bring them to your valley, there you go. And it's only $17 as opposed to 30. So it's almost half off. So that's something. And I'm just like, ugh. The problem is I know that if I waited a while, it would probably go on sale and maybe be like $12 or $11. That'd be great. But I kind of think, I just feel like I need to get it immediately, because the character, it's got Eeyore. I love Eeyore. Eeyore is my spirit animal, and I want Eeyore in my village. And I'm just wrestling with the fact that I'm going to have to pay $17 to make that happen. So, rude. But they're like, oh, it's Winnie the Pooh's anniversary. Let's bring him to Disney Dreamlight Valley, but it'll cost ya. No, the free DLC, they teased the next free one, which is going to bring Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph. Woohoo! I'd rather have Eeyore. As you know, I go old school. I don't want the new CGI characters. I want the old school ones. I wish that they would do something where you could just get a character. I would pay like $5 to get Snow White, because I don't care about the horses and the ranch and the whatever. I just want Snow White. And I just want Maleficent. I don't want all the other crap in that DLC with whatever else is in there, extra gameplay and things. I just want one character, but I wish they'd do that. Maybe they would someday. Please? And then with Nikki, I'm done with that. I just kept trying to get that free outfit while I wait for the new update, which I think is coming this coming week. And getting this free outfit was a bitch. I literally had almost all of the outfit pieces except for the last 2, which were in the final thing. And I just needed to do one more thing to get the 100 points, to get enough points to unlock that section where I could get the free outfit. So there were a few things I could do. You know, I did all the easy things. I did the side quests and whatever, and that was fine. And then there was like, okay, you need to do this challenge. And I'm like, okay. Or you could do these puzzles. And I'm like, okay, let me do the puzzles. So I do the puzzles. The puzzles weren't so bad. But it turns out a couple of the puzzles, the final round of that puzzle was like insane. Because like I said last episode, the instructions in Infinity Nikki are always a little bit not great. So I sort of barely understood what I was doing. And then each round has like a new rule for how to get the most points. And it's like if everything is in a column or a row. And then they're like, if it's touching one of the things and gets absorbed, it'll double the points and whatever. And I'm just like, okay. And clearly I wasn't understanding what I was meant to do because I just could not get through either of these puzzles. There were 2 sections and I was able to do the other section, but this section I got to 4 and I couldn't get enough points to clear it. And this section I couldn't get enough points to clear it. And I was like, mother effer. I was like, all right, I clearly don't understand what I'm doing. And I didn't care enough to try to look up online because also, what are they going to explain? I don't know. But I said, let me just try one of these challenges. And there was a whole challenge where you go back to this realm that's all like, you know, wooden blocks and childhood looking things. And you do a platforming challenge. And I'm like, okay, fine. And you basically had to like jump on these kites that were being held aloft by these big, you know, windmill fans. And you had to use one of your special powers to take these floating fan blades and attach them to the fan so the fan would go. Some of the fans were going, but some of them weren't, and you had to like get a piece, attach it, and then it would make that kite float so that you could platform on it. Except I would go and then there'd be a piece and I would try to move it to the fan and it would just go poof, disappear, because the game is like, no, that's not where that's supposed to go. You can't take it over in this direction. And I'm like, well, then where is this supposed to go? Like, where there is no other piece around to fix this particular fan, and now I don't have a thing to jump on, and I can't get any further. And it was just the most frustrating thing, and I'm convinced that it was, like, bugged. And I did think that maybe because if you leave and come back, whatever you've done remains done. It saves your progress. And when you fail, you have to do it in, like, under 2 minutes. And I would get, like, halfway up and run out of time, because I couldn't get anything to work. And then I'd start at the beginning, but everything I'd already done, all the fans I'd fixed, were fixed. And I thought, I wonder if I like reset it somehow. Like if I say, no, don't restart the whole thing from scratch, maybe I put a fan blade in the wrong fan, it shouldn't let me do, and then it wouldn't let me do this blade anywhere else because it was supposed to go in that fan, which I used the other thing to fix. But you'd think if it was that picky, it wouldn't have let me do the first one. But I was like, this is too complicated, and I was like, never mind. So I went back and I tried to do the puzzles again, and the puzzles were still in a fucking nightmare, and I didn't understand what I was supposed to be doing, and I couldn't get enough points, and I couldn't clear the levels, and I was like, God damn it, I'm never going to get this outfit. But I was like, grrr. So I tried another challenge in that realm, in the wooden block childhood realm, and it was like, find all the whim stars. So I went and I found a whim star that and then it was like, that didn't unlock it for some reason though. But then there was another thing where it was like, what are these butterflies? And I'm like, yeah, there's butterflies flying around the wooden bushes. Like what? They're like little wooden or cardboard butterflies. So I caught like whatever 3 or 4 of them there were. And then that somehow finished part of that challenge, which somehow unlocked the outfit. And I was like, okay, like I didn't do the other pieces of this challenge, but if you want to give me the points and let me unlock the outfit, great. And it's funny because, like I said before, this free outfit, I'm not crazy about it, but it was a free outfit and I wanted it because I had to have it. Because it's free. And I want to collect what I can collect. But the big news with gaming this week is actually I finished Ghost of Yotei. So, as you might recall, last episode, I finally, after taking a little break, I went back in and all I had left was the story missions, and then the dragon was a complete bitch. But then I went back the next day and I beat him on my first try that day, and I was like, woohoo! So then it came time for the spider, but then the spider was also a huge bitch. It wasn't exactly the next day, it was a few days later that I was able to play again. And oh my god, the spider was such a pain in my ass. Seriously. It was so hard, and I just kept dying and dying and dying. I'd get a little further, and then I would die. And then I'd get a little further than that, and I would die. Then I wouldn't get very far at all, and I would die. And then I'd get a little further, and I would die. And it was just chaos. So, I was getting really frustrated and getting annoyed, and I'm just like, argh. And then I got his health down, like, really low, and then he killed me, and I was like, mother effer. But then suddenly, the wolf jumps into the fray and starts attacking him, allowing me to get back on my feet, and I get a little bit of health left, and I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, it's a miracle. And then I just flurried at him, and I managed to win. And I was like, oh, thank God for the miracle wolf saving me at the end. And I don't know if that was just a random thing, because the wolf would do that randomly throughout the game if you were, like, struggling and show up. And I don't know if that was just, like, a random thing, or if that's the game going, he's been at this a while, and he's not really going to win, so let's give him a little help. And they throw the wolf in. I don't care, because I got through it. So, it's fine. Then, it came time to do the final battle against Lord Saito. And you meet the spider, and then that's where the game does the whole, hey, this is the end of the game, so if you decide to embark on this quest, you're going to do this quest, and you can't do anything else. And, I was like, let's do this. And you go, and you fight your way into Saito's fortress, and you rescue Jubei and Oyusuki, and barely get out with your lives. And that leads to the final confrontation with Lord Saito, who is a dick. And that was not as bad as I was expecting. I feel like I struggled more with the spider. It's funny because, like, I'm fighting him, and he's, like, changing weapons constantly, which is, like, so you have to switch to the appropriate weapon for whatever he's using, the appropriate weapon to defend against that, whatever he's using. So, like, I'm like, okay, this is testing me on what I've learned throughout the game here. It's like the final exam. So I get through that, break his Yari, and it's like, woohoo! And I'm all like, whoa, I did it! And then I suddenly the cutscene's going, and I'm like, oh, but wait, this is the final boss battle. There's at least 2, if not 3 stages to a final boss fight. Like, calm down. You did not just win the game. And sure enough, there was more fighting to be had. Then there's the middle section, which is like chaos. And then the end, that one was fine. And then at the end, you go into like rage mode where everything's on fire around you, and you're like all in your head and everything's on fire, and you're like, argh! And then he tries to fight you and you're fighting him. And that's where I died like a bunch of times. And then like I got him down to like just a little bit of health. And, like, he got me good, and I thought I was dead, but I must have also gotten him at the same time, because all of a sudden, I killed him. And I was like, okay, is that it? I mean, he's pinned to a tree, so that should be pretty definitive. And it was. That was the end of him. So I was like, oh, that wasn't as bad. So then the story plays out, and it's all very tragic and sad, and then it's like, okay, it's sort of a weird storytelling thing they did where, like, the story is over, and then you're talking to Kiku, the little girl, your niece, Atsu's niece, and she's like, when you come out of the credits, it's like Atsu is telling Kiku the story of the Onryo, and basically the story of the game. And then Kiku's like, that can't be the whole story, is it? And she's like, well, no, there's some parts I didn't tell you. And she's like, well, tell me. And then it puts you back into the game where it's like, you know, you can finish up things and do other side quests you didn't do or whatever. I basically did everything, so there was no, like, nothing. There wasn't anything left to do, really. But then there was a part where it was like, I looked at the map and it was like, oh, you can do this other thing. You know, there was some duelist that you could go after and whatever. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm done. Like, that was the end. That's why I wanted to do everything, finish it, because once it was finished, because now it's like just before you defeat Lord Saito, so you're not like adventuring in the cleared world, you're adventuring in the previous bit before you did the end game. So it's like, you're just sort of mopping up whatever you didn't do. And I'm just like, I didn't want to do that because I wanted it to be a finite experience. My friend does want me to go and try that challenge at the top of Mount Yotei where you beat the master of all the weapons. It's supposed to be like this unbelievably difficult and insane fight. And he's like, I want to see how far you can get. And I'm like, I don't. So I don't know if I'm going to actually bother with that. We shall see. But now it is on to something else. I will say that last week I did check the PlayStation Store and I saw that Cyberpunk 2077 was still on sale for $20, but there were like 7 hours left in the sale, and I was like, if I was going to buy it, it would be right then. And I said, no, don't buy it yet. You have other things to play. Don't spend the money. Stop. And I had a little willpower for myself, and I didn't buy it. So now it's back to normal price, and I'll wait until it comes on sale again. But I had said that I wanted to start playing The Sinking City that I bought for the Switch for $5 months ago, so that I'd have something to occupy my brain while I was traveling 4 hours to Massachusetts for 4th of July. So I'm going to start that on the TV so that I can play it properly, and then when I'm playing it portably, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to look at a tiny screen or whatever. So I'll have some first impressions of that next week. But I have my final impressions of Yotei, it was really good. It was just as good as the first one. I almost feel like maybe the story was a little better than the first one. But it's gorgeous. The combat is terrific. It just like the first one, it does take a little to getting used to. But once you get the hang of the combat, it's very fluid, and as you advance and get better weapons and armor and perks and things, it's a lot of fun. And there was nothing more satisfying than sniping enemies with my bow from a long distance. It was great fun. I love headshotting people from a distance. So it's great. If you haven't played it and you have a PS5, definitely check it out. Also, Ghost of Tsushima was also great, so if you haven't played that, you really should play that first. Even though they're not related at all. They don't really... It's just they're similar games, but the plots don't intertwine at all. So Ghost of Yotei, big major thumbs up. I very much enjoyed it. I was sorry to see it end, but I have been playing it forever, so it's time. And now, next episode, I'll have some first impressions of The Sinking City. And come back and find out what I think of that. Fingers crossed, it's worth the $5. I don't know. We'll find out together. Bye!